Greetings and welcome to another edition of The Great Goddess. Praise be to Goddess. Praise be to Goddess. Well, here it is another Wednesday, but not just any Wednesday. Today is the day before Humane Day. And what is Humane Day, you may ask? And I've never heard of Humane Day. What is the significance of Humane Day? And why should I observe Humane Day? And what is it? Well, as you all know, tomorrow is also the Christian Thanksgiving. And in protest against the Christian Thanksgiving and the institution of Thanksgiving, I invented Humane Day. And why did I call it Humane Day? Well, for one thing, because millions of turkeys will be slaughtered just for people's Thanksgiving feast. Thousands of turkeys will be slaughtered. So to be humane to those turkeys and to all the other birds and animals that were killed for Thanksgiving, for the Thanksgiving feast, I invented Humane Day. So it's being humane to the animals. Humane to the animals. So Humane Day is about humanity, and it's about being humane to animals. And protesting the traditional Thanksgiving, which butchers and slaughters and even murders millions of birds and animals to feed people's appetite for gluttony, their gluttonous natures, and feasting, a feast day feasting, and to worship their Jesus and their God, whoever their God or Jesus is, and to kill all the animals, and they suffer horribly. You know, they get put into shackles and hung upside down, and their heads get lopped off by a blade that kills all the other birds too. And then their dead bodies are immediately thrown into hot boiling liquid, and if they didn't get their heads cut off, they get scalded to death, and that happens quite often. And then all their feathers are scalded off, and then they get thrown into a vat of salt liquid, and it plumps them up and increases the weight so that people pay more for it. It also increases the sodium content, so people die of heart disease and high blood pressure faster. And it also adds excess sodium. It could cause arrhythmias and things like that. So and then it's a breeding ground. It's cold water, cold saline water. It's a breeding ground for bacteria. So E. coli and salmonella and all the diseases that you're afraid of breed in these cesspools that they throw these birds into. And then people eat them. People roast them in a hot oven at 400 degrees or whatever temperature they cook their turkeys at. And they eat them. And so on Humane Day, in honor of the animals that are needlessly slaughtered so that people can worship their God, I am protesting that holiday. I do not observe it. I do not make merry on that day myself. My mom likes to spend Thanksgiving with the family, and we don't have any family. She likes to spend it with me, and she likes me to cook for her that day. And she wants Thanksgiving foods. She wants a holiday roast, which is, like gardine or tofurkey, and she wants stuffing, and she wants mashed potatoes, and she wants cranberry sauce, just like all her friends are having, and just like everybody else has, and maybe some butternut squash. So she wants food on that day, and I do not observe that day at all, so I have to cook for her. And I do partake because obviously I'm not going to go hungry that day, but I don't eat more than a plate full of food, and I usually gain weight anyway. But I don't observe Thanksgiving personally. And one day I'm going to Plymouth, Massachusetts to protest Thanksgiving officially with all the other Thanksgiving protesters. The people who protest Thanksgiving, that is. And they're Native Americans mostly, and friends of Native Americans. And they're protesting the first Thanksgiving that resulted in such a bloody loss of life for the Native Americans. And that wasn't very humane either, but it was man's inhumanity to man in that case. And they say that the cranberry sauce is blood, the blood of the spilled Indians, and the turkey symbolizes the body cavities being stuffed of the Native Americans, and that they're being slaughtered symbolically through the Thanksgiving feast. I don't know if I actually buy that, whether the choice of food was symbolic of the slaughter of Indians or not. But I do know that it's a holiday that comes at the expense of Indians, certainly, because the colonists that came here originally slaughtered Indians. Even the Pilgrims slaughtered Indians. So they were not as nice or as friendly as they claimed to be. But they didn't. What they did was the Pilgrims specifically took sides. They teamed up with one group of Indians and sided with them against another group and slaughtered those Indians. And then later on, they turned on years later, like maybe 40 or 50 years later, the Pilgrims turned on the Indians that had originally helped them survive, and slaughtered them. And the Puritans were worse than the Pilgrims. Obviously, they committed wholesale slaughters, and they had so many Thanksgivings celebrating their slaughter of the Indians. The first Thanksgiving feast was Puritan celebration. It wasn't Pilgrims, it was Puritans. And it was a Thanksgiving feast celebrating a victory over the Indians. So it was celebrating the slaughter of Indians. Native American Indians, of course, American Indians. And it was a feast celebrating the slaughter of American Indians, and it was Thanksgiving to their God for their great victory. So supposedly God gave the Puritans the victory over the Indians, like he would prefer them, because they worship him, right? So remember that on Thanksgiving, it's a celebration. It was originally a celebration of a victory of slaughter over Indians. And they had so many victories that they had many celebrations, because all the Indians had was bows and arrows and spears, right? The colonists had guns, and they were able to slaughter lots of Indians with their guns. And they didn't have the best guns. They didn't have guns like we have today, but they had guns. And so that gave them the edge. That gave them the advantage. And they were able to slaughter a lot of Indians. So every year in Plymouth, on Thanksgiving, starting bright and early, there's a parade of shame. It's a parade of shame for the slaughter of the Indians. And the Indians are in the parade. The American Indians are in the parade, and the tribes that were affected are in the parade, and their friends are in the parade, their white friends, and whatever other race of friends they have are in the parade, and they protest. They carry signs and they protest Thanksgiving every year. Sometimes people who don't like what they're doing to the Dreamers also protest the Macy's Thanksgiving Parade. They go to Macy's Thanksgiving Parade and sit down in the street and protest what's being done to the Dreamers. But that's not exactly the same thing as protesting Thanksgiving itself. It's just a grab for attention, I guess you could say. And it's not that it's not a worthy cause, but it's obviously a worthy cause. But the main goal is to protest Thanksgiving itself as an institution. So if you want to protest, go to Plymouth on Thanksgiving. I know it's a little late to be doing that now, but those who know me know every year I think about going, and I never have the funds, but I always think of it. I always think about going. So definitely, protest Thanksgiving. Another place where the Native Americans or American Indians protest Thanksgiving is Alcatraz Island. And every year on Thanksgiving, there's a get-together on Alcatraz Island. There may be performers there. It's closer to Hollywood, so all the West Coast people, all the East Coast people go to Plymouth, all the West Coast people go to Alcatraz. And they protest Thanksgiving there every year, and it's unthanksgiving. And they celebrate on Thanksgiving and protest the traditional Thanksgiving feast. And a lot of vegans show up to these get-togethers, so there's no shortage of food for those who are vegans. If you want to go to one of these, they will provide you with a meal, and if you volunteer or join their protest, they'll definitely feed you, and you can get vegan food that's free of slaughtered animals. But that's it. Think about protesting. Think about protesting Thanksgiving. Maybe do it in your own neighborhood. Maybe get a group together of vegans and picket outside of a free holiday feast in your neighborhood that supposedly feeds the hungry, but they only do it one day a year, and it's only for Thanksgiving, so that people will be worshiping their God, and they always have a community prayer. Protest there. Go over there. March outside with signs. Protest Thanksgiving, and organize and protest. This time next year in Plymouth, maybe we'll go to Plymouth and protest the original Thanksgiving there. But if we don't make it to Plymouth, that's okay. But we always think about it. We always think about going to Plymouth to protest Thanksgiving. So protest Thanksgiving on Humane Day. On Humane Day, eat vegan foods. No need to celebrate or make a big production of it or make a big deal of it. But just try to be humane to animals on Humane Day, because it is about being humane to animals, even if you're a regular meat eater. Abstain for the sake of the turkeys. Abstain on Humane Day from eating animals. And not just turkeys, but all the animals. Don't have a hamburger or ground beef or chicken or any other animal. Just abstain from eating animals on Humane Day. And that's it. Have a great Humane Day. enjoy the weather. It's awful weather because Goddess hates Thanksgiving. She hates the slaughter of animals and the way they're slaughtered. So she sent us some blustery weather this Thanksgiving. And it's not going to be pleasant outside, but it's well worth it for the sake of the turkeys. Make people think twice about the way they are and what they do and how they eat, and the way they treat minorities in this country, the way minorities are treated as well. The Native Americans, or American Indians, and you know, do your part. Do your part to make this a better world and to make people think for a change instead of blindly following the crowd. I'm Sarah Jane Alphawolf signing off. Be a rebel. Rebel cause. Be a rebel this Thanksgiving and protest the original Thanksgiving.